The nursery industry of the United States has grown from its embryonic beginning on Long Island in 1737 to a multi-million-dollar nationwide complex of businesses today. It is composed of many interrelated parts, including nurseries that produce plants, landscape firms that use plants and related materials to develop attractive and functional landscapes, garden centers that sell plant materials and garden-related items, plus maintenance firms that specialize in maintaining plants and landscaped areas. I'm Dr. DeBusk, and in this video I'll discuss the nursery industry, including its classification, function, production areas, and allied areas. A plant nursery is a place where hardy trees, shrubs, ground covers, vines, and herbaceous plants are propagated and grown. Nurseries in the United States are very diversified and may be classified and described according to four major criteria: ownership, function, production, and type of plant material produced. Nurseries are owned and operated either by private industry, private non-for-profit institution, or by various governmental agencies and educational institutions. Within the private sector, they may be a proprietorship, a partnership, or a corporation. Governmental agencies operate nurseries to support part or all of their plant material needs, to furnish planting stock for various reforestation and conservation programs, and for quarantine purposes. Private not-for-profit institutions are frequently operated for plant conservation and preservation purposes. Educational institutions operate nurseries to support their many and diverse programs in research, teaching, extension, and to landscape their campuses. Production nurseries propagate and produce plants for a variety of purposes, including fruit production, environmental quality improvement programs, conservation projects, and research and educational programs. Production nurseries may be either profit or non-profit oriented. Those that are profit oriented are in the private sector of the industry. The non-profit production nurseries are operated by various private agencies, governmental agencies, and educational institutions. Those that are profit oriented can be subclassed as either retail or wholesale production. Retail production nurseries are generally small in size, commonly 50 acres or less, and sell their production directly to the ultimate user, in most cases homeowners. Wholesale production nurseries are primarily large establishments that sell their plants in wholesale units to industry-related buyers, for example, landscape contractors, garden centers, and to parks, golf courses, cemeteries, etc. Wholesale production nurseries may specialize in a particular type of plant material and locate in areas where climate and soil are most favorable for production. Mail order nurseries deliver their products that they merchandise via the U.S. mail, the parcel services, or by bus. Their contact with customers is primarily through catalogs and literature sent directly to the customer, or advertisements placed with one or more of the mass communication media. Most of the materials is herbaceous perennials, small fruit, or small trees and shrubs. Potted material is grown and shipped in a lightweight medium to reduce shipping costs. Landscape nurseries design and construct attractive and functional landscape utilizing the resources available within the organization. Modern landscape firms are staffed with designers that produce the landscape plans, growers that produce the plant material, and construction specialists who carry out the plans. Landscape nurseries produce woody ornamental plants that are typically larger than those available from most wholesale production nurseries. However, they seldom produce all their plant material needed and usually supplement their production by purchasing smaller, readily available material from other nurseries. Some landscape nurseries subcontract parts of the landscape project to other firms. For example, it is common to subcontract lawn work to a lawn specialist and large pools, patios, and sun decks to a building contractor. A horticulture distribution center, HDC, is a nursery whose primary function is to locate, purchase, and assemble in a convenient location landscape plants which in turn are resold to landscape growers or contractors. The HDC takes title to the plant material and either holds it in a sales yard or grows it in a nursery to enhance quality prior to sale. The center may also stock for resale various items associated with planting, for example, peat moss, tree wrap, mulch, etc. Quarantine nurseries are, as the name implies, nurseries where plants are held during a period of quarantine. They are operated by federal or state agencies charged with the responsibility of administering federal and state laws related to the importation of plants. Not-for-profit organizations such as botanical gardens frequently have a portion of their land designated as a plant quarantine nursery, which is regularly inspected by appropriate governmental agencies. On the basis of production systems, nurseries may be classified as either field production or container production. Field production nurseries may be subclassified by the method used in digging and processing their plants, which may be either bare root or soil balled. Plants that are dug bare root have the soil removed from their roots as they are harvested, whereas soil balled plants are dug with an undisturbed soil ball around the roots, which is then contained in some manner. The most common method to contain soil-balled plants is to secure the soil ball with burlap, known in the industry as balled and burlapped, B&B. Other methods include boxing, potting, and basketing. Growing plants in containers has been practiced for centuries, but container production of plants in the nursery is a relatively modern practice. Since the early 1950s, it has evolved into a highly scientific and successful method of nursery production. It is an excellent example of growers and scientists working together in solving problems and developing a highly effective and efficient system of growing and marketing plants in containers. In the early development of container production of plants, growers used tin cans, tar paper pots, and standard clay pots as the container, and the plants were grown above ground in an area fitted for handling plants in containers. The growing medium was whatever field soil was readily available. Since the 1950s, major changes have been effected in the container production of plants. The containers are no longer the rusted food cans of the early years, but are designed and manufactured especially for the nursery industry. Metal containers are crimped so they nest for shipping and storage and are dipped in rust-proof paint so that they last 2 or more years and make an attractive market container. Plastic containers up to 300 gallons in size may be obtained that serve various needs, including thin wall for inexpensive short-term crops and thick wall for long-term crops and for stacking during transport. When it comes to container production, there are several advantages. It produces more uniform plants. This is a result of providing optimum conditions for growth of the plants in a more pest-free environment. For example, medium nutrition, water, light, and spacing. It provides a method of producing plants that are difficult to transplant. A greater number of plants are produced per unit area, which avoids the need of land and rotation, cover crops, and reduces the loss of plants due to cultivator injury. It permits use of areas normally not usable for field production and avoids the digging operation. It also improves cash flow, and invested capital has a faster turnover rate. It provides for a greater potential for mechanization of materials handling, for example, potting, pickup, and delivery to and from a production site. There are also many container production challenges. There needs to be greater attention to artificial irrigation requirements, offset by greater control of moisture levels, or the plants can decline quickly. The size and shape of the container may limit root development, which can cause the potential for container-bound and/or circling roots. Plants need to be repotted if they're not used on schedule. There is a greater need for winter protection due to the inability of pots to insulate well. There is also the greater need to supplement and monitor levels of chemical supplements, and with that, they need to leach medium periodically to avoid excess soluble salts. The soil in pots also need good water drainage. On some sites, it is necessary to develop wastewater disposal systems. Finally, it is a relatively high-cost production system offset with improved cash flow. There are also marketing advantages and challenges for container marketing. The advantages include reduces transportation costs due to lightweight medium. It extends marketing season for both wholesale and retail, as well as the planting season. Containers are a convenient prepackaged cash and carry item. They are relatively easy to maintain with water and fertilizer in the sales area with no need to mulch. They provide a better display of plants. Finally, there is less handling damage since workers tend to carry plants in pots by the container rather than by their tops. The marketing challenges include the medium has a tendency to dry out faster, requiring greater attention to watering. Plants in unsightly containers are unattractive to customers, and container-bound or circling roots, if present, limit growth and life expectancy of plants in landscape sites. Nurseries can also be classified and described on the basis of the types of plant material they produce. Historically, the early nurseries of the nation produced fruit plants for the developing nation. Gradually, they included plants for landscaping, and as the need developed, they produced seedlings of forestry species for the forest industries and plants with special characteristics for conservation purposes and erosion control. When a nursery produces species from two or more of the foregoing categories, it is best described as a general nursery, producing a catalog of diversified hardy plants. Some wholesale production nurseries grow only one type of plant material, such as shade trees, evergreens, shrubs, roses, or herbaceous perennials. Some specialize in one or two genera. Other nurseries specialize in the production of seedlings for reforestation, conservation, and Christmas tree plantations. There are also nurseries that specialize in propagating materials for other nurseries. Their production may include dwarf rootstocks, grafted plants, rooted cuttings, seedlings, or shade tree whips. These firms are mostly located in the major nursery production areas or on sites that provide a major climatic advantage. Within the nursery, there are a number of businesses that are closely allied to nursery production. They do not produce, but buy, sell, and distribute plant material or provide a closely related service. Landscape contractors perform the major construction operations associated with the development of large landscapes. Nursery brokers are independent sales agents whose primary function is to arrange purchase sales agreements between members of the nursery industry. The modern garden center is the outgrowth of the small retail nursery sales lot or fruit stand of the pre-World War II years. Mass merchandisers and discount stores that mass market all types of products also have a nursery department for the sale of trees, shrubs, fertilizers, bedding plants, and related items. Landscape management environmental care firms, as the name implies, specialize in maintaining the landscape plantings for individuals and businesses. Trade organizations that serve the nursery industry are primarily focused on the functional aspect of the business and to some degree the type of plant material produced. If you are in Florida and interested in the industry, it is recommended to join the Florida Nursery Growers and Landscape Association. They hold trade shows and provide education and certification programs. They invest in research for the industry. They are the political leader representing Florida environmental horticulture and agriculture at the local, state, and federal levels. They also provide discounts to services, and you can use Plant and Product Locator for free. The nursery industry in Florida is located in three distinct areas of the state as a result of its peninsular topography and its associated climatic zones. The southern East Coast nurseries, located in Dade, Broward, and South Beach counties, produce most of the tropical foliage plants and subtropical materials used in Florida's beautiful indoor and outdoor landscapes. The central region produces the hardier subtropical material, citrus, container-grown trees, and shrubs, as well as foliage used in indoor landscapes. Apopka, located in the center of the state, is known as the foliage capital of the nation. Florida continues to lead the United States in tropical foliage production, accounting for 63% of the national total production in 1997. In the northern region, particularly in Baker County, camellias and azaleas are produced, as well as many of the hardier ornamental plants associated with the gracious landscapes of the South. Although the State Plant Board lists some 4,000 certified nurseries, most of the state's $444 million in the sale of nursery products was produced by less than 25% of the nurseries, and most of the production was container-grown foliage plants. Florida leads the nation in the production of tropical foliage and citrus plants. In conclusion, you can see in this organizational chart how the nursery industry is set up from plant development to the local consumer. Each plays a part in the production of the plant for the end user.